What I find fascinating about Rolex as a company is simultaneously how much effort people spend thinking about and analyzing this company's actions while still being completely incapable of predicting what they're actually going to do. Count the number of YouTubers who predicted a solid gold deep sea, a gray GMT, Fume dials on day dates, display casebacks on base models. No one can seem to get their finger on the pulse, myself not excluded. But to me, that's what makes it so fun. It's like playing the lottery. You know what will happen. There can be a winner. Rolex will change their lineup this year, and you may be the only one to call it right. You'll get dapped up by every watch nerd in your Discord server. It'll be heaven. But the odds of that happening are slim. So, I've got some predictions that I haven't heard echoed elsewhere, and also some thoughts on why I believe some very common predictions will not come true. I'm gonna be the only one to ever call it right. Here we go, starting with the humble Yacht-Master. This is a hot take. All precious metal bezels will be discontinued. That means all steel models discontinued, all Rolesaur models discontinued, their two-tone line. In their place, you will see two references, a 37mm Yacht-Master in titanium and a 40mm yacht in titanium to match the 42 Ti, which gained so much success last year. That means we're cutting out 7 references at once, every watch with a precious metal bezel, to replace them with 2, making it so that the only yacht on a bracelet is one in titanium, and all yachts, regardless of metal type, have a matte black bezel. It's gonna be an absolutely boss move that destroys and rebirths the Yacht-Master model with a new vision, entirely separate from the dive watch collection it has since played second fiddle to. That will make it so that the diver collection, Submariner, Sea Dweller, Deep Sea watches can be purchased in steel, gold, or gold and steel on a bracelet, while the Yacht-Master will be available in titanium on a bracelet or gold on an Oysterflex strap. By curating the models like this, the Yacht-Master will retain its own unique image. It'll have a legitimate identity to make it desirable on its own, without needing to be a backup or second choice to the more popular Submariner. This is no wish list. This needs to be done to solidify the Yacht-Master as a brand in of itself, because Rolex has done that with a few other lines. And I can only assume the master plan is for every Rolex watch to have a complete individual identity, almost like a brand within a brand. Like if I say date, images of people spring into your head. If I say Submariner, it conjures up a whole vibe. But who's the most famous person to ever wear a platinum bezel yacht? Joe Rogan a whole lifetime ago? The Yacht-Master line is one that needs active effort put into making it special. And no one really loves those gold and platinum bezels. But everyone loves the matte black. And it looks like titanium's not a miss either. People like to say Tudor is Rolex's personal testing ground for new products. If you believe that, and you think the Black Bay is the Submariner, then the Pelagos is the Yacht-Master. The Black Bay is in steel, and the Pelagos is in titanium. On top of all this, the Yacht 42 Ti is selling for double list a year later. I can't emphasize how big of an accomplishment it is to make a Yacht-Master one of the most requested models in the entire catalog. It has got to be one of the most masterful releases Rolex has made in the last decade. It was a good, calculated move that paid off, which they can now use to build out the rest of the lineup. The next model line that needs a little TLC is the Sea Dweller. Not only has not much been done with it, but we're also in a place where we need to fill in a deficit. The discontinuation of the Yacht-Master 2, the 44mm big boy with the complicated regatta timer. It was a slow mover for over a decade, but eliminating that watch deleted a slew of references, which made it so that there's very little in the way of options for big guys or just people who like bigger watches. That's why you saw the solid gold Deep Sea. It was less of a new addition than just a replacement for the solid gold Yacht-Master 2 we lost. It was an act of necessity. I don't think you're gonna see the Sea Dweller in titanium because, like I said, that material is gonna be used to differentiate the Yacht-Master and make it special. I predict a further act of necessity though by adding in either a solid Everose or an Everose Rollosaur Sea Dweller into the mix and discontinuing the yellow Rollosaur version so that yellow gold is available on the Submariner and Deep Sea. Rolex is supposed to be a brand for everyone, and there's currently not a large sport watch in rose gold, but there used to be. Remember that the YM2, which had the two-tone rose gold version, was made for 12 years. It's not a small thing for it to be suddenly gone. So even though there's this unspoken rule that we don't do rose gold in divers, I believe that will change moving forward. The Everose Sea Dweller will fill the current gap. RIP Regatta Timer. Moving down a couple millimeters to the Submariner. First, let me say, these suggestions that they're gonna release it in 37 millimeters are crazy. This will not happen. Maybe a long time from now, we'll see something similar, but Watches and Wonders 2025 will see nothing of the sort. It doesn't honor the reference. It doesn't improve upon what the Submariner is, and the current size is doing just fine. What I do think we will see is a slow expansion of the current line. The Sub-Date is one of the most iconic watches in the world, but with only one big variation in steel, a green bezel. So you have the base model in black, date or nah, plus one color. That's a really limited amount of options for a watch that has the rich history and unprecedented demand that this watch does. Now, before we move on, let's address something for a moment. The Hulk and the Smurf and colored dials are not returning because they don't look good. Green on black is just more aesthetically appealing than the green on green. And I know this hurts to hear, but I promise you they didn't discontinue them because they look better. So if we're on the same page and we're only tweaking the bezel, we don't have too many options. I don't think we're gonna see a stainless steel sub in blue because that is what makes the white gold reference special. I don't think we'll see one in red because that is what makes the Tudor black base special. We won't see it in anything too foofy or whimsical like pink or purple because that is not the Rolex way. We won't see a ghost bezel, some shade of gray, because Omega just did that and Rolex just did it themselves with their own GMT, and yellow is ugly. Which leaves orange, specifically gamboge. Omega did orange too, but it was a little while ago, so I'm calling it. Vivid gamboge bezel sub, hex code FF9900. It's happening and it will gain the annoying nickname of the Tiger. Now let's talk about a classic model. The material platinum is reserved only for what Rolex considers its most prestigious pieces. That certainly includes the Sky Dweller, which has yet to receive the platinum treatment. While we'll never see platinum on a Jubilee, that's ridiculous, a Sky Dweller, platinum, light blue dial is coming. So that means we'll see it on an Oyster bracelet? Well, you could, but that watch would be so damn heavy that it would compete with the solid gold Deep Sea on weight. I actually think it will be the first platinum reference to be placed on an Oysterflex. I don't have too much more to say on it other than that it feels like the only reasonable setup for a platinum Sky Dweller, and the Sky falls into the prestigious category more clearly than any other watch that hasn't been made in platinum yet. The GMT Master 2, Scott? Well, let's talk about that watch. While a non-prediction usually isn't a hot take, in this case, I feel like it is. I predict no change to the GMT, no platinum, no coke, no discontinuation of anything. And let me just say, producing bicolored bezels, that is, two colors instead of black plus a color, is within Rolex capabilities, but barely. And it's honestly looking like Hublot might genuinely be a big step ahead of them in their ability to form colored ceramic. So you think they're gonna do some weird blueberry bezel that makes it two colors when they can't even get their first bicolor bezel right? Come on, no. Side note, I find it hard to believe a publication as big as Monochrome expects a Jubilee bracelet to be made out of platinum. Crazy stuff, not possible. And here's why you won't see a Coke bezel. If they actually released that watch, a black and red bezel GMT Master 2, it would cannibalize both the sales of the Root Beer GMT, which is doing well but not crushing, and Tudor's Diet Coke, which has received a lot of fanfare. This is a company that is smart enough and has enough options to not become a snake which eats its own tail. The Coke is a Tudor reference now, you gotta deal with it.
But it's 70 whole years. Look, Rolex just released a new GMT model last year,
And they're not so try-hard that they need to celebrate every anniversary. 70 is not some magical number like 100. People predicting it in platinum because 70 is the platinum annum, and platinum represents strength and longevity and marriage. It's really reaching. It's much too on the nose. It's a kind of basic play that doesn't seem very in line with how this company does things. Thankfully so, in my opinion. Do not believe these blogs. Rolex doesn't give a f about the 70th Annie of this watch. You won't even get a Jubilee bracelet in Everose. Next, a couple lukewarm takes. I think anyone predicting the disappearance of the Celebration OP dials and the addition of new dials to the 1908 is probably going to be correct. I'm looking for some pastels to replace the old ones. Cream, lemon, mojito. Stone dials seem like a great pick for the 1908, but I think it's a little early in the line's history for that. And I also think stone dials are verging on overdone right now. I think you're much more likely to see the guilloche rice grain motifs from the platinum laid onto the gold models, and also see the addition of an Everose reference. Rolex has been pumping up their own dial making skills in their social media, so this feels like a pretty solid evolution. If this does in fact happen, nobody is getting extra credit. This play is straightforward. Now, I'm sure this next one is obvious to many people, but the Milgauss is never coming back. Stop pushing for it. It was in stores, sitting on the shelf for you to come and get it, and you didn't buy it. The watch is silly, and I get a kick out of it. I like how novel it is. I like that squiggly little secondhand, but it has absolutely no place in the world of modern Rolex. This is a luxury brand now that's not going to be putting zigzaggy lightning bolts on their watch faces. It's 2025. It would be so kitsch to be bordering on cringy, and buyers do not care about the insane levels of anti-magnetism. The whole reason the Milgauss is fun is because it is so clearly a watch designed far, far in the past, and that's fine. Saving my favorite prediction for last. Rolex removes all hyphens from model names. I realize it may be the most grammatically correct way to say a thing, but this is just terrible from a branding point of view. And do you know what no one's gonna say after this happens? No one is going to read Sky Dweller for the space and say, oh, they really should have a hyphen in the middle of it. I promise you, nobody. Henceforth, Rolex models shall be written thusly: GMT, Master, 2, Day, Date, Yacht, Master, Sky, Dweller, Lady, Datejust, Air, King. Any public company would have had an army of consultants that forced them to do this years ago. McKinsey wouldn't stand for it. Look, my overall thoughts on predicting Rolex's evolution is that people are living a bit in the past, wishing for things that once were, rather than imagining what will be. Rolex is genuinely a forward-thinking brand. So if you're gonna predict what they're gonna do, you cannot be doing it using their back catalog. Do I think all of my predictions will come true? Yeah, every single one of it. No, not really. I truly do feel like a lot of these might happen eventually, but it's a little brash to think you know what's best for a company this international, and bordering on arrogant to think you can actually call it year to year. But it is fun, and even being 100% wrong is exciting, because that demonstrates that this company that so many people call boring and slow is, in fact, quite unpredictable. I can't wait to do an updated version of this video once all the new releases actually come out. Would love to know what everyone else thinks is going to be released, especially if you disagree with me. Let me know.